First, we'll go through our agenda. So we're going to do some introductions. We're going to talk to you a little bit about Dalkia Energy Solutions, just real quick at a high level. And then we're going to go into discussing around energy bills, and then jump right into the low cost, no cost energy savings. And Mike Horan's going to run the show for all of that. So as an overview of Dalkia, we are part of EDF Group, which is the world's largest electric utility out of France. So right around $80 billion company. So we are a large organization, and we complete lots of various energy projects all across the world. The group that we sit as part of is called Dalkia. So we are about a $4.5 billion entity. We were their first acquisition here in the US. We were formerly known as Groupe Energy Solutions, started up in 2005. And now we are Dalkia Energy Solution with our sister company Aegis, who does combined heat and power. And as you can see, we also have entities all across the world. Here in the United States, we work across the country. So as you can see here, projects across the United States, we do work across the country. You can see where all the dots are. You're going to notice that those are typically going to probably be in areas of the country that have higher kilowatt hour rates and better utility incentives. So we love to track that with our customers and make sure that they capitalize on all that. And then lastly, here's just a slide of some of our great customers that we have been fortunate to work with over the years. I know some of you probably are on this call here today. Some of you are not our customers today, but to our customers that are on today, we appreciate your business and hope to continue to help you. And those that are not, hopefully someday we may get to work together. So with that, Mike, I'm going to turn it right over to you and we can jump right into why energy efficiency.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. So what we're hearing from a lot of our customers over the years is that energy is a significant operating expense for them. It's the second largest for a lot of organizations, second largest line item in their OpEx budget. A lot of customers tend to view the cost of energy in their building as a fixed cost. So it is the same amount every year, no matter what. Our goal is to transition that to a variable cost, and they can reduce energy or increase energy variable with whatever they do. Some of the outcomes that we find from energy efficiency projects are that we motivate maintenance and we reduce the amount of energy or emergency break fix efforts that need to take place as a result of projects and capital upgrades. The other great thing with energy projects is we leverage incentives against capital invested, and then of course there are the environmental and sustainability impacts of reducing your energy load. So to jump right into energy bills, this is a bill from a customer in Massachusetts, but a lot of the information you see here is typical of a utility bill. The first thing to note is they're typically broken out into two parts: delivery and then supply. Supply is the energy that's actually being used. It's the cost per kilowatt hour, and you're paying for having used that energy. Delivery is the other component. Delivery is that comes directly from the utility, and that is the cost to get the power from where it's made to you. And so as we continue forward here, it's important to know that the supply, the big question is your market deregulated, and do you have the ability to change that? So this is a graphic of all of the by states. You can see in the yellow there, electric markets are deregulated, in the blue, gas markets are deregulated, and in the green, both gas and electric are deregulated, with the white being completely regulated markets. And so what this means is, depending on how it's color coded, you might have the ability to purchase your energy, your supply from somebody else, and thus it's a competitive marketplace and the potential to spend less. Typically, we find customers who've negotiated contracts with other suppliers end up reducing their overall spend. So it's always something that we look forward to. So jumping here, the other component of how the utility plays into low cost and no cost savings is they have incentives available. So I know many of the people on the call today might be aware of incentives, might be very familiar with the programs, but to start at a very high level, the ratepayers, the customers pay into a fund. The utility manages that fund and distributes the funds to drive energy efficiency. And they're always balancing reducing energy demand versus building new power plants. And so there's a benefit to cost formula that goes into play, and that's their goal, is to pay customers to use less energy so that they don't need to build new power plants. And then it's important to know about the timelines and eligibility for incentive programs. So one of the things that we find is that programs will open and close depending on funding availability. And you always want to, for an energy project, have that submitted early in the process to avoid free ridership. So that's when the utility classifies it as a project that would be done regardless of whether it was an incentive, and in many markets that can be a disqualifying factor. So the point there is the utilities are looking for customers to do a more efficient project because of an incentive. So this describes the different markets throughout the US by state, and basically ranks the utility incentive programs. So on the left-hand side, the darker the state, the better the programs, the higher it ranks. And you can see from the slide previously that again aligns with where we do projects. And then on the right-hand side, a trend that we're seeing is that incentive programs continue to expand every year and become more broadly, more widely funded. You can see even natural gas incentives coming in 2006 and growing substantially. So these programs continue to expand as utilities continue to realize a return on their investment. So the primary reason that you're all here today is low cost and no cost energy savings. So one of the things that we had talked about in preparing this presentation is chances are there's not going to be a lot of new information here, and there's no silver bullet to completely manage a site's energy consumption or portfolio. But our hope is to connect the dots through maintenance and operations, that effective maintenance and operations lead to efficiency. So we're going to review refrigeration, compressed air systems, steam systems, HVAC, and lighting systems. And so all of that, we're going to review maintenance, operations, and efficiency. So we'll start right off with refrigeration. And why. So within a refrigeration system, 75% of the total cost of ownership is in energy consumption. They have long run hours, and ongoing maintenance can drive efficient operation. So as we get into describing low cost and no cost solutions here, which is on the next slide, we see on the no cost side that we want to be maintaining clean coils, maintaining door seals, anti-sweat heater controls, we want to manage the charge and ensure that the refrigeration systems are properly charged, and we want to be vigilant about opening and closing doors. So the refrigeration here applies to everything from a walk-in to a large refrigerated warehouse to a case at a grocery store. All of these best practices and low cost and no cost measures can be extrapolated to any of those systems. In the no cost side, again, you're going to notice it's a lot of maintenance. So we had one customer who came to us and they actually couldn't effectively cool, and their rack system was working really hard. All the compressors were on all the time, and they just, all of the coils outside in the condenser were completely fouled. So by cleaning their coils, we were able to get them capacity back, and they were able to cool. But it also all the compressors dropped right off, and it moved them a long ways in terms of efficiency. And then on the low cost side, we want to be leveraging floating head pressure. We want to be evaluating infrared and seeing and making sure that thermal energy is going where we want it to go. We could look at high efficiency fan motors, EC motors. We could look at adding plastic or air curtains, or keeping the cool space cool and the heat out. A lot of different potential measures between no cost and low cost. So the next system type we have is, I believe, it's on the next slide. Yeah, so is compressed air systems. So why compressed air systems? So within an industrial facility, a compressed air system can be between 10 and 25% of all of the electricity consumed within a facility can be from an air system. It's a self-generated utility, which means the building is producing it in-house. The wire to air efficiency can vary between 8 and 12%. So it's a very inefficient method. And 50% of the air that is produced is wasted. So it's a great system to look at no cost and low cost savings. So we have our list of no cost measures. One of the things that we've seen is you go into a facility, and on a Saturday or on a Sunday, there's nobody in a facility, nobody in the manufacturing facility, except for one guy in the maintenance shop, and he might be doing something that relates to compressed air, and so they're running hundreds of horsepower, big system, so that one guy in the maintenance shop has the ability to use a hose for blowing out his workspace, or something small. So it's an example of we're looking at a picture holistically, and with energy optics, it's a great opportunity to maybe put just a small 5 horsepower compressor in the maintenance shop for use on weekends. So that's a measure that we've done over and over again. You shut down the big system, you use a small compressor in the maintenance shop, and so it's that type of measure that can be no cost if you've already got that compressor, and just shutting it down when you need it. Right now with COVID, what we're hearing from our customers is they're actually idling sections of their plant, and so as they're doing that, we want to make sure that we're isolating that section if possible, to prevent any compressed air leaks in that section. And then on the low cost side, doing leak repairs, installing high efficiency nozzles, looking after diaphragm pumps, and changing filters to affect pressure. So definitely lots of opportunity on the compressed air. So the next system is steam. So again, 60 to 85% of all thermal energy within a facility with a large steam boiler is consumed in that steam boiler. So it's a very energy intensive system. It's another self-generated utility. They're burning gas to make steam. And the thermal cycle can be as poor as 50% efficient. So, you bring gas in and you're only getting half of what you pay for. Another item with steam is that efficient management requires significant maintenance, so that it's not a set it and forget it type system. And so the measures around the no cost, you see steam traps are a really big component there, and we see and hear from our customers that they've got spare traps on the shelf, they have bad traps, and so doing a study and properly managing those traps is big savings. We had one customer with one steam trap cost them $3,500 a year in lost opportunity or energy. So shutting a boiler down when it's not in use, again, a lot of times we hear from our customers, oh, we want to keep it hot because it takes more energy to reheat the system. But in reality, you're burning energy all throughout. So you do want to shut it down if it's not going to be continuously in operation. To the extent that the pressure can be lowered, it's a great efficiency measure. Again, isolating where possible. And as we talk about low cost measures, we want to effectively manage our condensate. So a lot of customers are just putting condensate right down the drain. In a lot of instances, it can be really cost effective and a relatively low cost measure to run a pipe and get that right back to the boiler to be recycled. And then of course, insulation. Steam, starts at 212 degrees and goes up from there. And so we want to keep the heat in the pipe. So installing insulation is a great low cost measure. It can be done in pieces. It doesn't need to be done all at once. So it's a great measure to chip away at. So HVAC is the next section we go into here. In different buildings, HVAC can account for 40% of a total building load or more. The systems are designed to be operating at peak load. So in the summer, if it's 100 degrees out, that system is designed to be operating to meet that demand. In the winter, if it's zero, well, and as we look at the data tells us that most of the time in most of the country, temperatures are moderate. And so the HVAC systems can back off. But we find that the systems tend to drift, and when they're installed, they're set up, they're commissioned, and temperature sensors drift and things don't operate as intended. So this is a great opportunity for no cost and low cost measures. And in the world of COVID, again, a lot of customers are telling us that everyone's working from home, our spaces aren't occupied. So going through the BMS if they have one, and scheduling that to not be to be occupied if there's no one there. So we don't need to be conditioning that space. It's always good to review. Window shading where possible. So if there's shades in a building and there's no one there, we can reduce the air conditioning load by dropping the shades. And another thing that we see frequently is that BFDs have been installed, and there's a fault at one point, and so they just go right into bypass, and so it's a great opportunity right now to recommission those VFDs to ensure that they are operating and are allowing you to leverage the shoulder seasons, especially in the spring here. And then on the low cost side, filter changes on air handling units. So as a filter gets dirty, it actually increases the load factor on the fan motor, and there are savings just by changing that filter. And similarly, cleaning a condenser coil can on a HVAC unit, on an air handling unit, can work to make a direct expansion cooling more efficient. So filter changes, cleaning coils, servicing a burner. Oftentimes the service technician will optimize the fuel to air ratio and make it burn cleaner and more efficiently. And fan belts. So oftentimes we see fan belts are squealing, or and even so a bad belt can lose 12% across that belt between the motor and the thing it's spinning. So changing that belt can be, if it's bad, can be a really great measure to drive efficiency and to save energy. And so, yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump right into why lighting. So every building has a lighting system. I guess we say almost every building. There may be some buildings out there that don't have a lighting system, but I've only really ever walked into buildings with lighting systems. Typically, they have long burn hours for lighting systems. In our mind, lighting, it would be easy to control. And the nice thing is that it can be controlled based on occupancy. So some great low cost and no cost measures here. So on the no cost side, you can see that, it's a great opportunity right now to review your controls strategies. So make sure that on your interior lighting, that if you currently do have it scheduled for whatever type of system, if it's tied into a BMS, good time to review that and make sure it matches up with the schedule for when your spaces are being occupied, and if you have certain areas of the building shut down, et cetera, or the same thing as you're reopening. On the exterior, make sure your time clocks are working, make sure photo cells are working. Typically that does take someone being there off hours to make sure that things are turning on and shutting off, or shutting off in the morning, early morning. So those are some no cost things. Adjusting the timing for timeouts, once again, depending on the schedule, making sure that you change those schedules. LED lamps on shelves. We see this all the time, that folks have a lot of inventory sitting on the shelves of LEDs that they're just waiting for something to fail. And so this could be a great opportunity to actually just go change those out, take them off the shelf, put them up if they're being utilized, and you're going to get some savings. And then also a great time when buildings have been unoccupied, or even as they're slowly reopening, great time when no one's there to do lighting assessments. And if you haven't done LED lighting upgrades, it could be a great time to start to look at that. And then for low cost, we have occupancy sensors. So you could add sensors to certain areas of a building. And then also there's, an opportunity to delamp. So once again, if you haven't done a retrofit and someone hasn't customized a new solution for you, could be an opportunity to delamp. So those are the items around lighting measures. And now, Mike, you can jump back into some other actionable items.
Yeah, so one of the things we were talking about is, we have these great low cost and no cost measures, but what else can our customers be doing inside of their buildings while there's some downtime, and while they might not be as occupied as they typically are? And so one of the things that came up was thermal imaging. So it's a great tool to gather information, to look at electrical infrastructure, to evaluate even the building envelope. I was at a facility at one point, and thermal imaging told us that there was an area that was poorly insulated. We continued to investigate. Turns out you could stick your hand right through the wall, and it was shielded. But it's a great tool to be able to look at and see how is my heating and cooling leaving the building, and there might be some really cost-effective opportunities there that come up. The other thing that came to mind is internal campaigns. So one of the campaigns that we've led with customers in the past is a treasure hunt. You get everybody involved and look for opportunities to save energy and save costs more broadly. It's a great tool. And lastly, behavioral changes. A sign in a in an office, turn the lights off when you leave, that sort of thing, really has been proven to be effective